Hey guys, what is going on? We are back on the Tier Maker website, and of course that can only mean one thing. We are ranking something here today, and that's going to be all of the maps in Modern Warfare 2 Season 1. We do actually have some pretty decent maps in this game, and if you don't know how this list works, we're going to go through some explanations here for our tiers. At the bottom here, I've made a special tier for a very special map in this game, and it's just me laughing at it because it's not very good in my opinion. Above that, we do have the dumpster, which used to be our bottom tier. Moving above that, we do have not bad, but do typically have some issues that make them not as good as other maps. In the middle of the row, we do have decent. These are maps that are just pretty good. Above this, we do have pretty great with an exclamation mark, and that's how you know it's a pretty good map in this game. And at the tip top, we do have the top tier, which is the S tier. These are very, very good maps. Some of the best and some of the maps that you do constantly see remade, mostly because they are very, very good. So as I said here, we do actually have some pretty decent maps this year in Call of Duty. I know there are some absolute stinkers, but starting us off here, we do have Bagra Fortress, which I think is a pretty okay map in this game. There are some things that do annoy me about it, but if you are in the middle position, like the fortressy bit of the upstairs with the window and then the other windows in that sort of like museum style building, you can go on very, very long streaks in that particular area. You chuck your mines down on both of the staircases and you can go on pretty long streaks, which is actually pretty fun there. Again, I do think it does have some issues that do sort of hold it back from being one of the better maps in the game. I'm going to put this in the decent tier, just in the middle of the road, not to shake it up too much. I think this is a pretty decent map. Next, we do have the Breenbergh Hotel, which again is one of those maps that does have a variety of different combat distances. You get some long range stuff, medium range, and for the most part, a decent amount of short range stuff too. Again, there's a lot of different areas on this map that you can use to hold, like the bedroom area. You can use that to hold like the enemies in that like lobby area of the map, and you can sort of like chuck your mines down in various areas to stop people from getting towards you, and you go on those longer streaks. Again, this is quite a decent map in this game. Can't really complain about this one too much. I like it for the most part. It doesn't really allow for many aerial kill streaks, so just keep that in mind. We're gonna put this again in the decent tier as well. The next one we do have here is El Asilo. Now, I actually don't like this map at all, man. Like, I don't think it's too bad. Once you do manage to get into the center building, it is actually quite chaotic, quite hectic. A lot of like close action gunfighting, which is actually pretty decent. However, being able to get there, running through the field from like the back spawns into the middle building can be a little bit tedious. You can end up with lots of people sort of aiming towards the spawns from the big building. It does feel a little bit like the Palace map that we did see in Modern Warfare 2019, where you just run from like the outside spawn to try and get into the middle building. And if you got there, you might have a decent time, but it does take a little bit of effort to get there. I'm going to put this in probably the not bad tier just because of how good the middle of the map actually is. But outside of that, it can be a little bit frustrating. Next, we do have Embassy here, which is one of the better maps in my opinion. You do get a lot of variety of combat here. You can even get the snipers out, get the long range stuff out on this map on like the tennis court side. If you do like your sniper battles, there is a lot of positions for that. However, I do really like sitting in like the bathroom officey bit, sitting on those upstairs with some mines on like the staircases and just sort of allowing me to go on those longer streaks as well. Again, I do think the loop on this map is quite interesting. Can be a little bit iffy when you do get stuck outside. You're trying to make your way towards like the buildings and that kind of thing, and you do get sniped or you get taken out on the outside in the car park bit. But for the most part, I do actually really like this map. A variety of combat distances makes a pretty interesting experience for my part, so we're going to put this in the pretty great tier. Next one is Farm 18, which I've had a little bit of a think about, and I'm not really sure where to put this. You might have to let me know in the comments where you would put this, and there is going to be a link in the description to let you be able to do this list for yourself. I'm not 100% sure. This is one of those maps that is probably a little bit too big. I can see what they were going for. There is a lot of close range stuff in this map, as well as that longer range stuff, medium range, all those lovely things. However, the map does seem a little bit big. If there was like areas of this map that were just cut out to make it a little bit smaller, say like the bit towards the medical tent building kind of thing, say that entire building and behind that was just cut out, the map would be a lot more condensed, a lot smaller, a lot more people running into each other a lot of the time, because there's a lot of buildings on this map where you can just sort of sit around the outside, and that doesn't really make for a very interesting Call of Duty experience. But if they did cut that like singular section out of the map, it would make it a lot more interesting, a lot smaller, a lot more condensed. It's just a bit big in my opinion. I'm going to put this in like the bottom of the decent tier, maybe the top of the not bad tier, because if they did make it a little smaller, this would be a really good map. But at the moment, it's a bit big in my opinion. Next, we do have the Mercado Las Almas, which I do actually think is a pretty good map in this game. It's one of those ones where, again, you get that variety of combat distance. It can be a little bit tricky depending on where you do decide to play. For the most part, you are sort of sticking to the outside of the map. It can be a little bit interesting to try and get across the middle lane to sort of swap around the other side. Again, it's probably a little bit big, and again, not really as much access as you'd probably like to be able to cross the entirety of the map. You do sort of have to, if you want to avoid that middle lane, you do sort of have to go all the way around on a big old flank, which can take a long time, make the map feel pretty big. But again, I do have a decent time on this map, so I'm going to put this in the middle tier with the decent. I think it's probably a little bit better than the Bagra Fortress. I'm going to put it at the top of the decent tier. Next, we do have the Crown Raceway, which I think is a very cool map in this game. The setting is really neat. I really do actually quite appreciate this a little bit. Basically, again, with those combat distances, man, they seem to have found a bit of a decent area, sort of a long range stuff on the outside on like the raceway bit in like the pit lane kind of thing. And then on the other side as well, there is that big lane with like in between the buildings, a big corridor thing, bit of long range combat there. There is like set up for that kind of thing. And again, ins and outs of the buildings and that kind of thing, the garage and that kind of area is like your medium range stuff. And then there's the building on the right hand side away from the racetrack, again next to that sort of sniping lane. It does actually make for quite interesting experience. I do quite like this map as well. The setting's very cool. I do like a little bit of a night map in these games. So we're going to put this in the pretty great tier. I think it sort of balances out with Embassy quite nicely. Again, long range combat, short range combat, a lot of interesting stuff on this map, and the setting is very cool as well. Okay, so we do have the Sena Border Crossing, which is this is the map for this tier. This is a bad map in the game. Like, this is a really bad map. I feel like this is one of those maps that is you get an idea, you get a concept, and then you sort of flesh it out, and you're like, no, this is fine. But without actually playing it and sort of testing it and making sure that people actually have a good time, this is one of those maps that's really bad. This does remind me of a similar vein to how people just absolutely hated it, like the bridge map in Modern Warfare 2019 with the big upstairs bridge, and then everybody else was running around on the bottom. It was really good for those longer streaks. This map isn't, and it's just cars. It's just cars, and it's just really bad. And like, you've probably seen that video flying around. You've probably experienced it yourself, where you'll die and you'll be running back towards sort of the combat, and you get blown up by a car, and you're like, well, that's unfortunate. Then you'll run back again, and you get blown up by another car, and then you get run back again, and you get blown up by another car. Repeat infinity, and that's just like a bad gameplay loop, like a bad experience. So you know where this is gonna go. This is like a real bad map, like real bad. Next, some of you might seem this is a little bit controversial, and this is of course Shipment. I don't like Shipment. It's just not for me. It doesn't sort of play in the way that I usually like to play the games, which is they hold these power positions and go on those longer streaks. Of course, you can go on the nuke streaks, you can go on those longer streaks on Shipment. I just don't have it. I'm just not that guy, bro. I don't know what it is about Shipment. You just end up going on those longer streaks and it feels amazing. And then other times you will die. Somebody will spawn directly behind you and you'll die, and somebody will spawn in front of you and you'll die, and you'll spawn in front of someone's gun and you'll die. It just feels really bad sometimes. So I don't really like Shipment too much. I'm not going to put it in the dumpster tier because I mean, I know lots and lots of people love Shipment. So I'm going to put this in the middle at the bottom of the not bad tier. It does have flaws, of course. It is a very limited map in what it does. It's fantastic for getting those skins and the unlocks on the attachments and stuff like that, but I don't really like it too much. Next, we do have Shoothouse, and you pretty much know where this is going to go. The reason they brought this back is because they needed a little bit more fast-paced, close-quarters action in this game, and this does suit that to a T. If you do like to play in my style, you sit in those powerful positions, you do want to sit up in like the officey bit and sort of take out people from there, and then move in and out of those areas, just trying to get those longer streaks going. Again, Shoothouse is one of the best maps they've ever made. Again, a absolute classic from Modern Warfare 2019. I'm going to put this in the S tier because I really like Shoothouse, one of the best maps in the game. Next is Taraq. I do think this is an interesting map. This is a map remake from, I believe, one of the older Call of Duties. I can't remember which one off the top of my head. Maybe World at War. Somebody correct me in the comments. I don't remember. I probably should have looked that up before I did this video, but it's okay. But for the most part, you are going to get stuck in an uninteresting loop of sort of trying to get towards the middle tower area of the map, and then you get taken out while you're trying to run there. Again, it can feel a little bit bad when you are in that loop, but outside of that, you can go on those longer streaks. For the most part, there are areas that you can sit in and then sort of control that area as well of the middle of the map. But again, being able to get stuck in that loop of sort of running towards the middle, dying, running towards the middle, dying, and so on, does feel a little frustrating frustrating sometimes. I'm going to put this at the top of the not bad tier. I think this is a pretty okay map, but again, does have those flaws of being stuck in that loop of running towards the middle, dying, and so on. And the last one that we do have here today in Modern Warfare 2 Season 1, this is the Zarqwa Hydroelectric. I actually think this is one of the best maps in the game this year. This is basically the map that they did design the swimming sort of mechanics around, and you really can see that in the underwater areas of the map. It does allow you to sort of go on those big old flanks. It's probably a little bit too big in my opinion. It is a little bit too large to sort of find people constantly. However, that doesn't detract from how good the map actually is. I really do think this is one of the best maps in the game, honestly. There's a lot of distances in this combat style with the long range, the medium range, and the short range stuff. You can go on your long streaks if you do like to play that way. This is one of the best maps they've ever made, I think, in my opinion. I'd love to see this come back in many, many other Call of Duties. I'm sure some of you would disagree with me and you absolutely hate this map, but I think it's really, really great. I'm going to put this at the bottom of the S tier, just below Shoothouse, because I don't think I could put it above one of the GOATs. But again, this is a very, very good map in my opinion. There it is there, guys. That was our list for the maps in Modern Warfare 2 2022. I do think the list we've got here at the moment is not too bad. Maybe I'd shuffle some around in the middle, but I believe these two are the Shoothouse and the Zarqwa Hydroelectric are some of the best maps in the game at the moment. And of course, the Sena is just, it's just pretty bad. Just before we do go here, make sure you do hit that subscribe button with those notifications turned on. I do very much appreciate it, and it really does help me out. And of course, hopefully that does mean I will see you in the next video. Bye!